As I stated before, I am a Vietnam combat veteran. I sustained combat injuries and I was exposed to Agent Orange, as were so many of my friends. Many have died painfully. Many live in pain as a result of their military service. I have friends who live only because they take pain medication. Without it, life is intolerable. To wake up in the morning, not able to get out of bed, not able to lift a hammer, not able to take a step without pain, is something I hope no one else ever experiences. It has been difficult, to say the least, fighting with the Veterans Administration over access to pain medication. Now, some months back, the DEA stepped in with regulations prior to this recent congressional act signed by President Trump. The DEA stepped in to regulate the distribution of narcotics, especially through the VA. It has literally scared the hell out of the medical profession to the point where they are afraid to write prescriptions, they're afraid to give out drugs. It poses a direct threat to the patient-doctor relationship. How can a doctor sit there and write out a prescription for opiates to relieve me or my friends of pain, living under the hammer, that as a result of that prescription, as a result of attempting to help someone in pain, it'll cost him or her their license to practice medicine, because that's what's at stake here for them. They are paying that price. They're afraid to write the prescription. In the Veterans Administration, I noticed a very profound change in attitude of the doctors and nurses after the DEA came out with its regulations. God only knows what this next round is going to do. But where doctors, prior to the DEA intervention concerning the issuance of prescriptions for opiates, prior thereto, doctors in the VA system especially were relatively loose on giving us what we needed to manage our pain, because no one can really quantify pain. Only though the person who is carrying that burden knows if the pain is being relieved. Doctors went from readily and willingly being able to deal with that pain to the point where we were challenged and are continually challenged with what are we doing with the medication? Do we really need the medication? And I'm not going to give you the medication. You're going to get this many pills. And if it's not good enough, I can't give you any more. I won't give you any more. We're going to count your pills. We're going to see to it that your pain follows an administrative path. If you're authorized 20 milligrams of oxycodone a day, by God, that's what you get, and that's all you get. If you don't get enough pills, if there's a gap in there someplace, you have to figure out how to cover that gap. If somewhere along the line something happens to spike that pain, there is no relief available to you. What that results in is a choice. between taking the medication or not taking it. I say that in a way that you're hesitant to take your medication because you try to save something back for a time when you need it. And it causes a great deal of anger that you went through what you went through, yet you can't get the help you're entitled to or that you need. If we look at the recent legislation regarding opioids, especially in the area I'm familiar with, which is oxycodone. As a disabled veteran in significant pain, I take oxycodone every single day. I can't get up in the morning and walk 5 steps without taking oxycodone. I am crippled without it. Okay? So I need oxycodone. I know a lot of veterans who need oxycodone. Yet now, people who are in my situation, who are law-abiding citizens, have more and more restrictions and requirements imposed upon them if they are going to use these drugs. And it would appear that we are, I hate to use this term, but victims of the war on drugs, victims of a government that is looking for some sort of low-hanging fruit. There has never been a significant victory by government in the war on drugs in all of the years they've been fighting it. We're an easy target because we're law-abiding citizens. Doctors and patients, generally speaking, are law-abiding people. If the war on drugs is the best we can do, we need to declare that we've lost it, declare a truce, and walk away because we've paid too much money, we've produced too much human misery, and we've lost it. There is no way that anyone has ever said that we're going to win. Let's go back to the Vietnam illustration. Johnson took us into the Vietnam War, made major troop commitments in Vietnam without having any kind of thought as to what would constitute victory or how we would ever get out of it. We went into the war on drugs the same way. We don't know what constitutes victory, and we don't know how to get out of the war on drugs. When does it end? How does it end? All we can say is that we keep filling our prisons. We keep having complaints about, especially from the black community, about so many of the members of the black community imprisoned for victimless crimes. And to what end? To what end are they imprisoned? Who's harmed other than the user? Okay? But the user makes those choices.